Hey there guys, welcome back to Boots and Bounty Homestead. We are back in Casey's kitchen again. Seems like I stay in here a whole lot. But I want to bring you guys in here today because we've got a lot of tomatoes to put up. And I want to bring you a special recipe. Now I'm not just doing the tomato soup or tomato juice or stewed tomatoes or anything like that. I'm going to bring you a very special recipe that I found this year that my family is in love with, hands down. This is tomato bacon jam. And as skeptical as I was about it, there is nothing to worry about it. It is almost like a bacon flavored ketchup. You can think of it like that. A sweet bacon ketchup really is what it is. And how you would use it. You would use, I mean, if you wanted to, you could slap it on some biscuits, no problem. And if you didn't want to do that, you could put it on top of like hamburgers, cheeseburgers, that sort of thing, like burritos, or you could use it in your breakfast burritos, or you could just use it on any kind of topping of meals. You can put it on top of like maybe a baked potato topping, or if you're frying some potatoes, put it on top of that. And you don't have to use much at all because it is a punch of flavor and it is great. So let's get started. Let me tell you what we're going to need. So to start off, we're going to need our thick bottomed pan. And again, this is my favorite for doing any kind of jam or long-term cooking. Now you can use any pan you want to. I just love using this because I don't have to worry about it burning on the bottom. The next item that we are going to use would be tomatoes. And for this recipe, and it produces one pretty large pint, we need 2 pounds of ripe tomatoes. And then moving right along to our next items, we need a ½ pound of bacon. Now, I'm going to cheat. I've got real bacon pieces here, okay? And I kind of just eyeballed it as to what I thought would taste good. And I will show you that when we get to that point. Our next item is we need 1 jalapeno pepper, 3/4 cups of light brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of vinegar or apple cider vinegar, whichever you like. The recipe I have posted below calls for apple cider vinegar, but we're going to use white vinegar today. And then we're going to need 1 tablespoon of either finely grated fresh ginger or ground ginger, whichever you have on hand or prefer. We need 1 teaspoon salt, and the recipe calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of ground coriander, which I do not have, so we are omitting that. And then a pinch of ground cloves, which is this right here. Now to get started, I've got to go through here and core my tomatoes and cut any bad spots out. I do have a couple that have been on the table and have a couple bad spots, so I'm going to go ahead and cut those out. If you want to, you can either dip these in hot water once you core them and score the bottom. You can dip them in boiling hot water and take the skins off, or you can leave them on there. Totally up to you. But the last time I made this, I left the skins on and it was fine for us. You really couldn't even tell unless you just really, smoothed it out. Then you could see the skins, but it doesn't affect the taste and it doesn't affect the texture. So it's totally up to you, whatever you want to do. I'm going to leave the skins on and then just chop them up and go ahead and put them in the pot. So let's do that real quick and then we'll be right back. I'm going to go ahead and turn my pan on to about medium so it can go ahead and be getting warmed up, but not to where it's going to cook. Now, oh, this one's got a bad spot. So I'm going to cut that out. Had to get me a pan. Okay, this is going to be my chicken scrap bucket. So we're just going to cut these bad spots out. And anything I see that needs to come out. And core it. Now with these early treats, I really don't have to do a whole lot of coring. In the last recipe, no, not the last recipe, one of my other recipes for spaghetti sauce, I didn't even core them. I just ground it all up together because they were so small it wouldn't have mattered. Alright, so once we got those cut out, I'm just going to like quarter these into like 1-inch pieces. Just like you would do maybe a salsa or something. Ah! Did it shoot you? You shot me. I think I'm going to give that one to the chickens. Alright, so I've got this pan here I'm going to go through. And we need to use about 2 pounds. Now you will see I'm going to quarter this recipe because I've got a lot of tomatoes to put up. And I'm probably going to use about all the tomatoes I got. But I'll have you the 1 batch recipe in the link below. And you can make that and try it yourself. If you want to half it, it would only take 1 pound of tomatoes, which may be just 1 tomato for some people. If you want to just make like a half pint just to try it, you can do that as well. So I'm gonna get this done and we'll be back. So now I've got all the tomatoes cut up, and this is 8 pounds. Now the recipe calls for 2 pounds. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this start cooking down. I'm gonna turn it up on medium high and get this cooking down. So I am quadrupling this recipe. So I will do it in 1 batch increments, but I'm gonna do it 4 times. So we've got 8 pounds of tomatoes for a 2 pound recipe. To that, it says we need to add a ½ pound of bacon per 2 pounds of tomatoes. What I'm going to do is about a 1/4 cup of the bacon bits per recipe. So I'm going to do like a whole cup of these bacon bits here. And you can kind of use this to your discretion. If y'all like, you know, more bacon or whatever, you can put more bacon in there. Just kind of see what it looks like as you stir it and as it cooks down. Okay, so I did about a 1/4 cup of bacon bits. All right. Stir that in. Now this is really going to cook down, okay? Don't let this fool you. To this we're going to add 1 jalapeno per recipe. So I'm going to add 4 jalapenos that I've already chopped up. And you can leave the seeds and veins in there if you want this hot. We do not, so I cut the veins and left the seeds out as much as I could. And the recipe I did the other day was not hot at all. Okay, so we've got the jalapenos added in. And then per recipe batch, it is 3/4 cup of brown sugar. So it'll be almost 3 cups for me, but I'll do 3 at a time here. 1, 2, 3, so that's 1 batch. 1, 2, 3, that's 2 batches. 1, 2, and 3. 3 batches. And that's probably just going to be the rest of my jar. 1, yeah. We're just going to put the rest of this in here. There we go. I'll refill that later. So that's 4 batches of 3/4 cup of brown sugar. And then to this, 1 batch recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of vinegar. So I'm going to use 8 tablespoons. And I use white vinegar. The recipe below calls for apple cider vinegar. Alright, then we're going to move along to the ginger. The ginger will be 1 tablespoon per recipe. 1, 2, 3, 4. If that's too much, you can play with it as you need to. Just make 1 batch at a time. Alright, we got that stirred in. A teaspoon of salt. I use pink Himalayan salt. And if you plan on canning this, do not use table salt. You need to use pink Himalayan salt, sea salt, or canning salt. If you just plan on making 1 batch and just eating it freshly made, then you can use table salt if you want. So salt will be to your taste, but remember, if you are canning it, which I will this one, just make sure you use non-iodized salt for canning. Alright, the next thing we've got is a pinch of ground cloves. So I'm going to use about a half a teaspoon of ground cloves. Which to me is still not very much. And that's all we've got in here. Now if you've got the coriander, you can add the coriander. I just don't have that. Did you know that coriander are the seeds from cilantro? Once cilantro goes to seed, you have coriander seeds. So now we wait and wait and wait and wait and let this cook down until it is thick. So I'm going to turn this up, get this boiling, and we'll check back on it shortly. Now I will tell you, on the 1 batch that I did the other day, I let it cook down on just a slow boil, probably medium, for about an hour. You can just get it to your thickness however you like it, and it's going to determine how fast you're cooking it, how much juice and everything that's in it, and then how thick you want it. So I can't really give you a time frame on how long to cook it. You'll just have to kind of eyeball it. Mine looks like soup right now, so it's going to take a little while to boil down. And if you were to pressure your tomatoes first, like in a pressure cooker or Instapot, if you pressure them first and then get all that excess juice out, you'll pretty much have a tomato paste that's left that you can use in here as your tomato paste, and then you won't have as much liquid, so therefore you won't have to cook it as long. Since this is fresh, it has a lot of juice in it. So we're just going to have to cook this for a little while, and I'll let you know what it looks like when it gets close to being done, and give you a couple of steps as it cooks down and what it looks like. Alright, I want to show you guys about halfway through. Now I put this screen on top just because I'm cooking it pretty high. It's on medium high right now, and I didn't want it to pop everywhere as it got thicker. So as it gets a little thicker, I might turn it down some. But to keep it boiling, to get all this juice off, I put a screen on top of it. I'm about halfway down, or halfway done. It's been about an hour. So if you were doing a single batch, this should probably be about done right now. And there you go. And tomatoes are cooking down real good. So whenever they get a lot lower and this gets a lot thicker, then the tomatoes will keep cooking down. And you can see over here it's already dropped quite a bit, dropped about an inch or so, but it's still got a lot of juice in there, so it's probably going to be about another hour or so. So I'm going to say this is about the halfway point of this batch. So I wanted you to see how it was looking, and I'll bring you back towards the end. Alright guys, we are finishing up the second hour of this quadruple batch. Okay, now I want to show you, I've turned it down to medium for this last 30 minutes or so, because it really got to popping, because it was really getting thick. And I wanted to show you when to start knowing that it's done. Okay. You can do the cold spoon test like I did in one of my other videos. It was the peach butter. Or with this one, it's not going to be so much the gelatin that's setting up from a fruit like the tomato. This is going to be getting most of the water out. Now, I want to show you guys. You can tell. I'll zoom you in just a little bit. Hang in there. Okay, right there. You can tell, you can see a lot of what's in here. You can see all the bacon bits. You can see all the peppers. You can see all the tomato skins kind of floating around. Don't worry about that. That'll kind of disintegrate. Now, if you need to, you can take like a potato masher and, you know, just mash it up and down in here to break up any of the tomatoes. But I have not done anything to this. And you see how smooth it is. You know, there's not a whole lot of tomato clumps or anything. So I'm not going to do anything extra to this. Now, I wanted to show you whenever you start to see, like once you start mixing it up and you start seeing everything that's in it and there's really no water much left. You don't see anything floating around the edges. You don't see it sitting on top. Unless you let it sit here and boil, it'll kind of rise to the top. But it won't be very much at all. I want to show you how it kind of jiggles. Like as I'm stirring, and then I stop, and it goes shoop. Watch. Shoop. Shoop. It goes right back to where it is. Okay? It's holding its shape. Okay? That is when you know that the most of the water, I'm going to say probably 90% of the water has boiled out. And this is ready actually to jar up, okay? Because see, it doesn't keep going. When I stop, it stops. When I stop, it stops. So, usually if it has a lot of liquid on it, you know, it may continue to move a little bit or it'll close up on you. You'll be able to tell the difference. But this is what it looks like. Real thick. And you can also tell whenever it boils, it pops everywhere. Because there's no water. It's just substance that the bubble's trying to get up through. So, all we got to do now is jar it up and water bath your pints for 10 minutes. Your quarts for 15 minutes. And that'll be it. So let's get it jarred up and then I'll show you the finished product. Got my trusty assistant.
I'm not here. This is a commercial break.
I'm warming the jars up with hot water just to make sure that your food in your jars are the same temperature. Hot goes in hot or warm. If you got anything around the rims, wipe it off with vinegar. What'd you do that for?
I didn't. The final did.
You can either use a wet rag or you can use a rag that has some vinegar on it. I'm just going to wipe it off. Wipe it off. And if you want to wait, because we're doing this to about 1 inch of headspace, and if you want to wait to the end to put all of your lids on to make sure that you know, don't have just a spoonful left that you got to put somewhere.
You just eat it.
You can wait until the end and then put your lids on. need more jars.
No.
No?
It ain't gonna be a whole one.
Okay, I got a half of one.
Sir?
Nothing like it.
I'll look at something.
Nope. I'll use it later.
Here. I want you to scrape it. Just set it down.
Don't want to waste no yummy goodness.
Oh, that'll top it off. Do the back bend here so I can see if y'all can see it. All right, last one. Put all your dirty dishes in one.
Mm-hmm.
Go get a lid for that. Okay guys, so we water bathed in the water bath canner back here with the rack in the bottom and covering the jars with 1 inch of water. The pints for 10 minutes. If you happen to do quarts, do them for 15 minutes. And then just take them out, let them cool, and we're fixing to cover it with a towel just to hold the heat in overnight. But I wanted to show you what I made the other day. This is a little bit more orange than this because I used some orange tomatoes in this. Just because I had some left over and I didn't want to leave them out of the goodie. So, I wanted to show you how I cooked it down and how thick it is. Bloop. So I mean it's pretty thick. I cooked mine way on down. And this may be thicker than what we did tonight. I didn't quite go as long of cooking with the moisture level in it as I did this. So hopefully this one's going to be a little bit thicker. And of course as it gets cold, I mean this is going to be thinner than this, but as it gets cold, like if you open it and put it in the refrigerator, it'll thicken up as it gets cold. Okay. And then you can take this and make it spreadable on whatever you want, and then you can try it anytime you get ready. So I wanted to show you what it would look like and kind of what it does through the different stages that it goes through. So I hope you guys go out and try this because it is fabulous. Absolutely one of my favorite recipes. And since I don't have to can up a whole lot this year, I'm trying to explore and do new recipes. And if we like them, I want to share them with you guys. So if there's anything that you would like to share with us, just let me know in the comments. What do you do that's kind of one of those oddball recipes? So until next time, we will see you guys later. Bye.